Hi, I am Gamze, and I will tell the Canterville Ghost by Oscar Wilde. Okay, Mr. Otis was an American minister, and he wanted to buy Canterville Mansion. First, so many people was thinking Mr. Otis was a foolish, for he wanted to buy a haunted house. Lord Canterville was the owner of Canterville Mansion, and he warned Mr. Otis about ghost house. But Mr. Otis just laughed and said, "I don't believe in ghosts." So he bought the house. Then Mr. Otis and his family moved to the house. His wife's name was Lucretia, and their eldest son was Washington. His sister's name was Virginia. She was slim and beautiful. After Virginia, twins came. They were lovely little boys, and they liked to play tricks on people. When the family moved to the house, they met with Mrs. Amney. She was the housekeeper of the Canterville Mansion. At first day, they were walking on the library. They saw the blood on the floor. Then Mrs. Amney explained that was the blood of Lady Eleanor de Canterville. Her husband, Sir Simon de Canterville, murdered her there, and he disappeared suddenly 9 years later. No one ever found his body, but his ghost haunts this house. One night, Mr. Otis heard a voice while he was sleeping on his bed. The voice was like the clank of metals. He stood up and took a small of oil in his hand. Then he opened his room door. He saw the ghost. The ghost looked terrible. Then Mr. Otis suggested him to use the oil for the clank of metals. Then he turned to his bed. The ghost shocked and threw the oil to the ground. I'm sorry. He was really annoyed him. While he was going through the corridor, twins threw a big pillow to him, and they laughed. The ghost told this family when he went to his room, and he remembered all the people who had seen him at Canterville Mansion and how frightened he had made them. But this time nothing was so easy. Twins played a lot of tricks on him, and sometimes they suddenly frightened him. The ghost was very unhappy, for no one scared of him anymore. At last he gave up that game. At that time, the young Duke of Cheshire came to stay with the family for a while, and he fell in love with Virginia, and he wanted to marry her. One day, they rode a horse together. When they turned to home, Virginia saw the ghost in a room. He was looking from the window, and then he wanted help from her, because he wasn't able to sleep. So he requested her to take him to the Garden of Death. Then she accepted him and took his hand. Then a big black hole opened up into the wall. When they came inside, the hole closed. Her family couldn't find her anywhere. And suddenly they heard a strange music and ran into the wall. Virginia stepped out when the hole opened up, and then she took her family and Duke to show them Sir Simon's secret, and everybody followed her. Then they arrived at a small room. There was a skeleton, and the skeleton was handcuffed from one hand. Virginia said the skeleton was Sir Simon, and his wife's brothers kept him here until he died. Then everybody learned everything about Sir Simon. 4 days later, they arranged a funeral for him, and a few years later, Virginia married the Duke of Cheshire. After their honeymoon, they traveled to visit Virginia's parents at Canterville Mansion and Sir Simon's tomb. That's all. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.